Oh, hello there. The Balkan Peninsula is an exotic place. It's a land of high mountains, beautiful parks and crystal blue seas. The third largest peninsula in Europe, behind Scandinavia and Iberia, is a place 60 million people call home, with 12 independent countries dotting the peninsula. Or is it 11? 10? 9? 8? See, humans have always desired clear-cut lines. It creates an organized structure where one side clearly ends and another clearly begins. Well, however, Mother Nature doesn't care about our desire to keep everything organized, and calmly flips us off in that regard, because there are many places on Earth where the lines become incredibly fuzzy, where multiple borders can be defined. I mean, have you seen the Europe-Asia borders?
Lord have mercy.
So how will you, dear foreigner, know when you've traveled from a first world country back to the Stone Age? How will you know you've entered the Balkan Peninsula? This and much more on today's episode. So the first question you might be asking yourself, but do we even need to define the exact location of the peninsula? To which I say, absolutely. Remember, we're dealing with a jungle populated by extremists and irredentists, so you have plenty of countries who seek to distance themselves from the said jungle to appear more civilized. But we all know that once you're a Balkanero, you'll always stay a Balkanero, and not even your apartment in old Germany will change that fact. But don't take my word for it, take a listen to the Diogenes of our time, Slavoj Žižek, who can explain it in more detail.
Where is Balkan? This was a standard joke. Let me do the entire theory. So we have here Slovenia, and every Slovene will tell you this is the limit. Here Balkan confusion starts. Okay, then let's go on. You ask a Croat, he will tell you it is clear. Croats are Middle Europa, Catholic, Belgrade, Serbia, Orthodox religion. We are in Balkan. You ask a Serb, he will tell you down here, either Sarajevo or Kosovo. They will tell you this is the true Balkan. Now, the irony is that if you go too much down, then all of a sudden Balkan is up there. No? In Greece, they will tell you, we Greeks, we are the origin of Europe, up there, the dark Balkan mountains. If you ask an Austrian, he will tell you, Slovenia, Balkan begins, Slavic, primitives, and so on. If you ask a German, he will tell you, Austria, when they had an empire, was already too much mixed with all this, it's already Balkanized. French people will tell you, Germany, dark, fascist, kind of a Balkan, we are civilization. And finally, the British will tell you, all Europe is today a big Balkan with Brussels bureaucracy as a new Istanbul. We British are the only one.
And with that explanation, let's define the boundaries of this place, and we will do so with two factors, and those are geographic and cultural factors. Geographic, meaning that rivers, lakes, seas, hills, and mountains create natural borders across the globe, since we saw throughout history how useful they were in defending kingdoms and empires, while cultural, meaning that the history, language, and food are unique to one certain area, among many other things. When it comes to geography, the Balkans are surrounded by 4 seas: the Adriatic, the Mediterranean, which itself is divided as the Ionian and the Aegean Sea, so it's technically 5, the Sea of Marmara, and the Black Sea. Simple, right? But when it comes to the northern regions, 3 rivers create the border. And which rivers are these? We first have the river Socha, which begins in the western part of Slovenia that drains out into the Adriatic as it passes through Italy. The second is the Sava River, which cuts Croatia in half, creating the border with Bosnia, and is the longest tributary of the mighty Danube River. The third river that makes the Balkan border, which passes through Serbia, creating a border between Romania and Bulgaria, and drains out into the Black Sea. This border is for the most part accepted by academics and people at large. However, I've seen one photo where the boundary is defined by the river Kupa, which would push Slovenia out of the Balkans. Clearly, a covert operation by the Slovenian Intelligence and Security Agency to make the Slovene nation more German, but we all know that that's not gonna happen. Fun fact, the acronym of Slovenian Intelligence and Security Agency would be SISA, and in the many beautiful South Slavic languages, SISA means tit. Sorry Sova, SISA sounds much better in my opinion. Sure, geography is cool and all, but when I think of a place in the world, I think of all the countries that share its wonderful and landmine-filled land. So what countries are in the Balkans? This is where we can determine it in a cultural sense. It will start with the core of the region, the countries who have all the geographic and cultural quota fulfilled to be called a true 100% authentic Balkan country. And these are Albania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Montenegro, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, and Kosovo. I believe there's not much to discuss about why they're full members of the Balkan Euro group, except Kosovo, which Albanians and their sugar mommies will tell you that Kosovo is a fully independent country, while Serbians and its sugar daddies will tell you that
Kosovo is Serbia!
Next, we have the countries that are mostly in the Balkans, where not all of the territory owned by these countries are situated inside the peninsula. They're still mostly considered culturally as Balkan nations, which are Greece, Serbia, and Croatia. Greece has a little bit more to it than just slapping on the Balkan label on it. The mainland, especially the regions of Macedonia, Thrace, and Epirus, definitely geographically part of the peninsula, but as you go further south, the weather gets warmer and the vibes turn more Mediterranean, hence the Greeks' hesitancy to call themselves a member of the Balkan Euro group. But no matter how they see themselves, a peninsula can't just stop abruptly, thus the mainland of Hellas in my eyes is Balkan. The Aegean Islands and Crete, however, are a more different case. These islands have for most of history been much more Mediterranean in nature, seeing how they're literally in Poseidon's backyard. These dots of land have acted as a border region between Europe and the Middle East, being stuck in the middle between the civilized West and the barbaric East. Culturally speaking, Greeks don't prefer to call themselves Balkan as mentioned before, but instead wish to be considered Mediterranean, like these guys, since Greece has a much bigger historical impact on the world, like the introduction of the screw, Western philosophy, many of mathematical formulae, and pederasty. Serbia's case is more straightforward, culturally a Balkan country, while geographically Vojvodina, which is in an autonomous province, is completely cut out from the peninsula. Vojvodina is also an interesting case, as it's home to a large Hungarian community, along with Romanian and many other ethnicities, 25 by some estimates, thus making it a very diverse and multicultural place compared to the rest of the Balkans. Croatia's case is also more straightforward as a culturally Balkan country, but since only half of Croatia's territory is under the Sava River, many have also questioned its status as a Balkan country, be it Croatian extremists or the makers of this map, for example, who puts Croatia as a Central European nation. Say, doesn't their shape look familiar? This is always an issue with defining clear-cut lines and keeping the bias away. As I said before, Mother Nature doesn't care about our wish to keep everything nice and tidy, everything separated in its own box, because human culture is fluid. It doesn't always stay within a border, and yet we still attempt to create a map which tries to put everything in its own little section, which attracts a lot of grumbling from others, saying that the map is incorrect. Even I'm not 100% correct, as I share this information with you from my point of view, and I know that at least one person will disagree with it. Do you disagree with me? Let me know down below. And finally, we have the countries that most people doubt if they're Balkan at all. These would be Slovenia, Romania, and Turkey. Slovenia owes its ambiguity of its status as a Balkan country due to the long-standing political and economical cooperation with the Germans, mainly the Austrian Empire, later the Austro-Hungarian Empire. But that all changed after World War I, where it became oriented towards Belgrade in the newly established kingdom of Serbs, Croats, and Slovenes, renamed to Yugoslavia shortly after. But since Slovenia was taught the way of efficiency by the Austrians for centuries, and how it owes its success to the strong geographic location of being close to Central Europe, where all economic powers are situated, he made Slovenia a very successful socialist republic. This, coupled with the economic handling of the country after its breakoff from Yugoslavia, Slovenia ended up much well off than their South Slavic brethren. Sure, Croatia is doing better, but not better than us. For Romania, the only part of Romania that is geographically bound to the Balkan is the Dobruja region along the Black Sea, making only 4.6% of Romania to be inside of the peninsula. Culture-wise, it's its own thing, having roots in its Romance-based language, with plenty of Slavic, Greek, and Ottoman influences, while geography-wise, it's a bit of both, being sandwiched between Southeastern and Eastern Europe, so you'll hear many Romanians saying that they're not a Balkan country because of it. One argument for Romanian status is its history, being a long-time vassal of the Ottoman Empire, therefore always being dragged into the politics of the peninsula, until the independence and subsequent union of the two principalities of Moldavia and Wallachia in 1859. As for me, I'm not so sure, besides being certain that it's a southeastern European country. Finally, we have Turkey. Only 3% of Turkey is in Europe, the area which is called Eastern Thrace. The rest of Turkey is situated entirely in Anatolia, which is in the Middle East. Culturally, many might object to the idea that Turkey is Balkan, or even European at all, but we can trace its cultural ties back to the Ottoman Empire, where almost the entirety of the peninsula was under Ottoman rule, be it under direct rule or for vassals. Also, many late Ottoman caliphs tried to be culturally tied to Europe in response to the rapid decline of the sublime Ottoman state, with a series of modernization programs to keep up with the Western powers. As we know, they were too late in those efforts, with the First World War and the War of Independence catching up to them, but its successor, the Turkish Republic, made great strides in westernization, led by Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, who introduced many liberal reforms unheard of in the Ottoman period. But wait a minute, surely inhabitants of Batman have nothing to do with the Balkans, since they're hundreds of kilometers away from it, and you'd be right, because they're all Kurds. So where can we draw the cultural line of Turkey? There's no clear cultural border, rather the strongest line would start from western Anatolia, and it gradually fades the closer it gets to the capital city of Ankara, and from there, the average Turk will be closer to the Middle East than to Europe. So in my view, only a small part of Turkey will be Balkan. Sorry, I meant Turkey. But what about Moldova? I'm sure you've seen some maps of the region with Moldova in it. Since Moldavians are nearly identical with their Romanian brothers, you could argue for Moldova to be cultural Balkan. But seeing how Moldova was tied to Eastern Europe with the USSR, and how geographically it's way outside of the peninsula, hate to break it to you, but I wouldn't call Moldova a Balkan country. But don't worry guys, Moldova will become a Balkan country once it unites with Romania within a few years. I believe in that. And with that, the class is dismissed. If you'd like to see more content from a man who hasn't been prescribed ADHD medication, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future uploads. 1 like equals 1 cent for a plane ticket to Germany. And comment down below to express your undying love towards your country. Take care, see you around in a month.